let's get started into our recap show.
Alrighty.
Oh my goodness. We're doing things a little bit different today. We're just going to go straight into the main event because that was the most talked about thing of this entire card, mainly in some cardio on the side of Curtis Blaydes. But boy, this fight started off very fast.
It did.
Yeah.
Very fast paced. And I'm telling you, these 25-foot cages,
it's crazy.
They are forcing the fighters. They're forcing them. Mm-hmm. They're forcing them to combat. They're forcing them to engage with one another. And it doesn't matter. It can be grappling. It can be in the stand-up. But I really like the idea of this 25-foot cage. Mm-hmm. I said foot like 3 times there. Yeah. Stuttering.
I fucked up earlier, too, so it's all good. But
yeah.
Yeah, I agree, dude. The shorter cage, it's crazy, especially when you get grapplers in there. Mm-hmm. They just get to close that distance so much faster, and right. It's harder for guys that really want to fight off their back foot in that shorter cage. Like, I'd love to see a Wonder Boy get up in there.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, that'd be crazy to watch, just to see him move that quickly side to side. You know, there was a few fights earlier where some people went side to side. We'll get into that, and looked really well. But this main event, Curtis Blaydes, does he have the best wrestling in the heavyweight division?
Maybe barring a DC.
Yeah, other than maybe a DC and maybe Stipe, I think he's up there. He's definitely an elite grappler.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, you could, and this is no disrespect to Curtis Blaydes, because we talked about it on the last podcast. I think his striking has improved tremendously in the last 2 or 3 years. So I don't say this as an insult, but you could almost call Curtis Blaydes a specialist. Mm-hmm. That's how good he is grappling. That's how good he is on the ground. And he showed that all 5 rounds of this fight. Was it the most entertaining fight?
No, absolutely
no. And especially coming off that co-main event that we will talk about later. Especially coming off that fight, it was like, wow, okay, total change of pace. But I didn't hate this fight.
No.
I wasn't like, I know Dana White wasn't too happy with the fight afterwards, was not a big fan of the way that this went down.
Yeah, said that he looked stupid.
And I disagree with Dana entirely on that one. Entirely. It was a dominant performance on the ground. Did he do a lot? Was there a lot of ground and pound? No, there wasn't. But he did control him, and Volkov didn't have an answer for that. Not only that, Curtis Blaydes had tweeted or Instagrammed, whatever it was, 2 days or 3 days before the fight and said, you guys think you're going to get a 25-minute brawl? Well, you're crazy. I'm going to take this man down and wear him out for 25 minutes. And that is exactly the game plan Curtis Blaydes implemented.
Yeah, I essentially said, if you want to see anything other than what I'm telling you right now, don't even watch the fight.
Yeah.
And he was right.
And he was right on.
Yeah, he fucking, I mean, did he ragdoll him? Which is what he said.
I don't think so.
It was borderline. It was pretty close in a few of those takedowns attempts. I mean, there was a couple nice suplexes in there.
And for the expenditure of energy that Curtis Blaydes, like some of those takedowns, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a heavyweight.
Oh, yeah.
This is a heavyweight, and he's expending this much energy. I did not see how he was going to be able to maintain that pace for 5 full rounds, but he did. But man, that post-fight, I thought he was going to pass out when he was getting interviewed. Mm-hmm. Like, I literally thought his eyes were rolling. He was moving back and forth as he was getting interviewed. He couldn't even catch his breath. And that was a good 4 or 5 minutes after the fight. Mm-hmm. Wild.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't the best representation of himself, too, because he couldn't even talk that well.
No, he couldn't.
And yes, Curtis Blaydes is a guy with a speech impediment. And yes, his lips apparently were almost ripped in half. Mm-hmm. Did you see how bad those cuts were? I mean, it wasn't Rosenstrike Overeem cut.
No, it was not that kind of cut.
It definitely wasn't that.
Or
it was a bad
Robbie
one.
Lawler cut.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it wasn't that either. But yeah, there was definitely a bad cut on his lower lip. So I'm shocked the guy even said as much as he did.
Yeah, so am I. Honestly, he could barely talk. Yeah. I was like, this man, like, hook him up to some oxygen, get a paramedic in here. He needs to be evaluated. Yeah. He needs to be looked at. Goodness gracious.
Honestly.
But I just, again, completely disagreed with Dana White there. It wasn't the most entertaining fight, but he got the job done. And that's all you got to ask. That's what you ask of your fighters. Go in there and get the job done and get the W. And that's what he did. Curtis Blaydes, again, we've talked about it, but I just feel bad for him.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, my heart goes out to him. Only 2 losses, Francis Ngannou, both knockouts. And it's like Francis is going to get the next title shot. So what do we do with Curtis Blaydes? He did say he wants to fight one more time in 2020. My guess, probably take the winner of the Derek Lewis.
Who is he fighting?
Gosh, I forget now.
I forget
anyway,
too. It's someone good.
That, yeah. Was it Herman?
No. Ed Herman? No, he's a light heavyweight.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Shout out Ed Herman, local boy. Anyways, but Curtis Blaydes, some fighters, Chael, Dana, others were saying that, he kind of just gassed in the third and then survived for 2 rounds in the fourth and fifth. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. No.
I didn't see a man that was about to get his ass kicked and just survive into the bell.
I didn't see that either, and that's where I disagree. Was he tired?
Yes,
was
absolutely. He was gassed bad.
For sure. I mean,
but he was still getting takedowns.
He's a 261-pound heavyweight. He's going to get tired, man. But I did not think it was a man who was scared to fight a Volkov.
Yeah.
Like, I disagreed with a lot of the...
a lot of the criticism.
Yeah,
there was a lot of
criticism. I know. I thought it was unwarranted.
Yeah, well, they were saying, like, if you're going to talk all that shit, you got to, like, knock a guy out in the first round or something. If you want your Francis Ngannou 3 fight, which is essentially the only fucking way he ever gets a belt or even the title shot, he needs to fight Francis again, which that's not a fight. I kind of get this point. That performance was not the performance that gets you that Francis Ngannou 3 fight.
But he wasn't going to get it anyway. Let's not kid ourselves.
That's what I think as well. Yeah, so that's a great point. Let's not kid ourselves.
So Curtis Blaydes going in there knows he's not getting the next shot against Ngannou. Let's say Stipe and DC retire. It doesn't matter. Curtis Blaydes is not sellable in that fight. As much as I think he would deserve it, he's not going to get that. So go in there and get the W.
Let's just say right now that's what happens. DC and let's say DC gets knocked out again and it's super sad. Everyone's crying because that's his retirement fight. And then and Stipe goes, "Hey, I'm the greatest heavyweight of all time. I retire also." Who does Francis fight? If he's going to be the guy, who does he fight for the belt? He's already beaten everybody. Just give it to him.
Yeah.
John Jones?
You would have to. Yeah, John Jones, but that's never going to happen. Get done. That'll never get done. So yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe you set up Curtis Blaydes versus Derek Lewis if he wins this fight.
Yeah, and if he wins that, then maybe he gets. Then he's got to
get it. He deserves it.
Yeah, he's the only other guy. But unfortunately, he's getting finished twice.
Let me ask you something too, because this is a little baffling to me. This was a main event, so it was 5 rounds. The MMA community is a little weird to me, especially in this aspect with Blaydes and pitching him so much shit. Why is it that other people can take someone down for 5 rounds and it's okay? So using an example, Tyron Woodley versus Usman or Habib.
Yeah,
why is it okay for those grapplers, but just because Curtis Blaydes is a heavyweight, they expect like a knockout TKO? I don't understand that and I don't get that. What about Stipe? What about Stipe and Ngannou? What'd he do to him? He laid on him for 5 rounds, man, and just tired him out. That's what Curtis Blaydes did.
That was a legendary performance.
Yeah, I again, like, I am defending Curtis Blaydes here because I think it's completely unwarranted. It's not going to win fight of the year, but I wasn't bored with the fight. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was fascinating that Volkov didn't have an answer for those takedowns.
I agree with everything you just said, other than the last thing you just said, which I wasn't bored with the fight. I actually was for some reason. I wasn't entertained in those last few rounds. I don't know what. I don't know if that was my just bleed guy showing through. I don't know. I don't know, but I wasn't entertained in those 4th and 5th rounds. I was sitting there going, fuck. Maybe it was just the Shane Burgos fight. And maybe we should just lead into that.
Yes, let's lead into that because I think that is a lot of the reason, Tabor, why there was so much animosity or so much critique for Curtis Blaydes.
You know what it is? It's Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Zhang Weili and then Yoel Romero.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it was, dude.
For sure.
Yeah. So that just answered my question right there.
Yeah, but shout out to Curtis Blaydes. You got the job done. You did what you needed to do. Take that W. And he says he's the heel now. He's a heel.
I don't get that, dude.
I don't get that. Curtis Blaydes is a good guy.
Yeah, he's been a great guy. And he, you know who the heel is? We all know who the heel is. It's Colby Covington. It's guys like that.
Yeah,
bro, you're so far away from that. You can't.
Curtis Blaydes just seems like a guy you could literally just get a beer with at the bar.
Yeah, he does. He seems like a super nice guy.
Like a nice
Maybe
guy.
That was him talking shit to the fullest extent. He's just so nice. It even comes off as just a nice guy.
I'm a heel. Right? No, you're not. You're a good dude, Curtis.
Yeah.